Hi everybody, welcome to TVI Tips from Amanda. I'm going to talk about how to install a piece of braille paper into the brailler. It's one of the more important skills for a student to have, and one that can be tricky if not done correctly. The biggest tip for putting paper into the brailler is if it doesn't go in correctly or something seems kind of off, just take your paper out, restart the process all over again. Otherwise you can get paper stuck inside and then it's a pain to get out. So we've already talked about what the parts of a brailler are. Before you put paper in, it's always good to make sure your rollers are rolled all the way out. If they're not rolled all the way out, your paper is not going to go in correctly, and I'll model that for you in a little bit. Paper holders need to go up. If your paper holders are down, your paper won't go in the whole way. So when you start, rollers out, paper holder up. Then you need to put your paper parallel, at least at the initial entry. You're gonna go in, I teach my students to go in the middle of the width of the brailler and then slide to the left. It should go relatively easy. If it's not going easy, just start over. Parallel, slide it in the middle, oops, and then to the left. Once it's in that spot, you would hold it with one hand, but since I'm holding my camera with the other, I won't do that. But you hold the paper with one hand and your other hand can put the paper holders down. Looks good to me. You can feel to make sure it's kind of in there parallel. Once your paper's in, roll it until it stops. I actually sing a song with my younger students similar to row, row, row your boat. It's row, row, row the paper, roll, roll, roll the paper in, roll the paper in until it stops. Boop. Once it's all the way in, your rollers won't turn anymore, so you have to roll it until the rollers stop. Then you line space or enter 2 times. The first enter keeps your paper in, and the second just gives a little bit more space at the top of the page. Then you slide your carriage back. Even if the carriage is already back, it's always good to get in the habit of enter, enter, slide, because if you start typing really quickly later on down the road and you're not into the habit of enter, enter, slide, or enter, slide, depending on if they're double spacing or single spacing, then you might move to the next line and not be over to the left side of the margins, and you'll just start in the middle of the page and run out of space. I've done that frequently, and some of my older students who aren't in that habit have done that as well. So my paper is in and I can start typing away. One of the things I didn't check was to make sure my right margin was in the right spot. So one of the things I do with students, if they're independent in moving their line guides or their margins, is I have them, once their paper's in, check to make sure they both line up with the paper. And as you can feel, you can see the paper stops here. The margin's about 1.5 inches to the right. So I'm gonna slide it in and then I'm gonna test it out. It dinged there and wouldn't go any further. It's about a 1-inch margin, which is what I like for my students so they don't accidentally run off the page. And then you can just start typing away, and that's how you install paper into a brailler.